that both men had to be helped to the back by medical personnel. You're still processing what you just saw, still dealing with the emotional whiplash of watching someone's dreams die in real time while another's barely survived. You're exhausted just from watching. And then WWE looks at you and says, "Oh, that was just the appetizer. Now comes the main course." An 8-man tag team war featuring some of the biggest names in wrestling history, with stipulations that will reshape Royal Rumble, with alliances that shouldn't exist, but do because desperation makes strange bedfellows, and with the promise that nothing you think you know about WWE's power structure will survive the night. That's not wrestling. That's psychological warfare. That's January 9th, 2026. When WWE decided that one historic match wasn't enough for a single broadcast and instead delivered an evening of professional wrestling so dense with significance, so loaded with implications, so absolutely insane in its ambition that it feels like fever dream rather than actual television. But here's the question that should be screaming in your mind right now. How does WWE follow an instant classic like Rhodes versus McIntyre? How do you create a main event that doesn't feel like an afterthought when you've already delivered Match of the Year material earlier in the show? The answer is simple and terrifying. You don't try to top the match quality. You top the chaos. You top the star power. You top the implications. You create something so unprecedented, so genuinely unpredictable, so absolutely loaded with potential for catastrophic developments that match quality becomes almost secondary to the sheer spectacle of watching WWE's entire landscape get reshaped in real time. Let me take you back to how this main event came together, because the road to this match is almost as fascinating as the match itself. After Cody Rhodes defeated Drew McIntyre in 3 stages of hell, securing his Royal Rumble entry while eliminating Drew from Rumble consideration, you'd expect both men to be done for the evening. Cody had just survived 53 minutes of hell. Drew had just watched his dreams die. Logic suggests both men would be getting medical attention backstage, recovering from the war they'd just endured, preparing for Royal Rumble in a few weeks. But WWE logic operates differently than normal logic, especially when chaos and opportunity collide in unexpected ways. Approximately 30 minutes after the 3 stages of Hell match concluded, after the arena had settled back into normal energy levels following that emotional roller coaster, Triple H appeared on the Titantron from his office looking stressed and frustrated in ways that immediately signaled something significant was happening backstage. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a situation that requires immediate address," Triple H began, his corporate speak barely masking genuine annoyance at whatever chaos he was about to explain. Over the past several weeks, multiple performers have been making demands about Royal Rumble positioning, about championship opportunities, about screen time and storyline focus. And frankly, I'm tired of the constant politicking and backstage maneuvering. So tonight, we're going to settle multiple issues simultaneously in one match. The crowd's interest was piqued immediately. What kind of match could address multiple storylines and multiple performers' demands all at once? Tonight's main event will be an 8-man tag team elimination match. The winning team's members all earn automatic entry into the Royal Rumble match. The losing team's members are all eliminated from Royal Rumble consideration. This is winner-take-all, high stakes, no second chances. The stipulation was absolutely brutal in its simplicity and its implications. 4 people would earn Royal Rumble spots. 4 people would have their Rumble dreams completely destroyed. Given the talent level WWE had available and the number of people demanding Rumble opportunities, this created a situation where established main eventers would be competing not for championships or prestige, but simply for the right to compete in the Rumble itself. Triple H continued, "Team 1 will consist of performers who've expressed frustration about their positioning and who've demanded opportunities to prove they deserve Rumble spots. That team is CM Punk, who just lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Braun Breaker, but claims he deserves Royal Rumble entry anyway. Cody Rhodes, who just defeated Drew McIntyre in 3 stages of hell and already has guaranteed Rumble entry, but who I'm adding to this match because he volunteered to help people he considers allies. We'll get to that in a moment. And the Usos, Jey and Jimmy Uso, who've been vocal about wanting Royal Rumble opportunities despite their complicated relationship with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. The team composition immediately created questions. Why would Cody, who already had guaranteed Rumble entry from winning 3 stages of hell, risk that security by entering this elimination match? The answer came from Triple H's explanation. Cody Rhodes approached me backstage after his match with Drew and said that CM Punk helped prepare him for 3 stages of hell, that they've developed mutual respect despite never having been aligned before, and that he wants to help Punk earn a Royal Rumble spot, since Punk lost his guaranteed entry when Braun Breaker took the World Heavyweight Championship. I told Cody that adding himself to this match was unnecessary and potentially foolish, since he's already secured his Rumble spot. He insisted. So fine, Cody's in, but if his team loses, he loses his Rumble entry just like everyone else. No special protection. The revelation that Cody and Punk had developed an alliance was fascinating because these two have no real history together, come from different eras and different wrestling philosophies, and represent different things to different segments of the fan base. But both are babyfaces beloved by audiences, both are fighting against authority and manipulation, both have dreams they're desperately pursuing. The alliance made emotional sense even if it lacked historical foundation. The Usos' inclusion was equally interesting because of their complicated status. They're Roman's cousins, members of the Bloodline, but they'd shown hesitation about helping Roman during recent conflicts and had expressed frustration about being positioned as supporting players in Roman's story rather than having their own opportunities. This match gave them a chance to earn Royal Rumble spots on their own merits rather than through Bloodline affiliation. Triple H then announced the opposing team, and the implications were staggering. Team 2 consists of the Vision members who've been demanding restoration of their faction's prominence despite Paul Heyman's exposed manipulations. Drew McIntyre, who lost to Cody Rhodes tonight, but who demanded one more opportunity to earn a Royal Rumble spot, and who I'm giving that opportunity because Drew McIntyre has earned the right to at least fight for his dreams even after devastating loss. And the 4th member. Triple H paused, clearly building drama around a significant reveal. The 4th member will be determined by whoever shows up first from a list of performers I've contacted who might be interested in this opportunity. First come, first served. The mystery 4th member created immediate speculation. Who would WWE bring in for this role? A returning legend? A surprise debut? Someone from the current roster who hadn't been prominently featured? The ambiguity was intentional, creating uncertainty that would presumably be resolved when teams made their entrances for the match itself. But the confirmed participants were already loaded with star power and implications. The Vision members, including potentially Braun Breaker as the current World Heavyweight Champion, Karrion Kross, and others who'd been aligned with Paul Heyman. Drew McIntyre, despite having just endured 53 minutes of warfare with Cody, and this mysterious 4th member who could be literally anyone. Here's the critical question that should be burning in your mind. How is Drew McIntyre physically capable of competing in this match after what he just went through? The answer reveals something important about Drew's character and his desperation. He's not capable, not really. He's broken and battered and should be in a hospital rather than preparing for another match. But the alternative, accepting that his Royal Rumble dreams are dead, that his championship aspirations for WrestleMania season are finished, that he has to sit on the sidelines while others pursue the goals he's been chasing for years, is psychologically unbearable. So Drew is competing despite the damage, competing despite reduced effectiveness, competing because the alternative is giving up, and Drew McIntyre doesn't know how to give up even when giving up would be the smart, safe, rational choice. The match was positioned to begin approximately 45 minutes after the 3 stages of Hell match concluded, giving production time to set up, giving performers time to prepare, and giving the audience time to recover from the emotional intensity of Rhodes versus McIntyre before being thrown into another high-stakes environment. The entrances alone took nearly 15 minutes because of the number of participants and the importance WWE was placing on this match. Team 1. Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso entered together, a united front of babyfaces beloved by audiences despite their different backgrounds and motivations. The crowd reaction was absolutely massive, with dueling chants for different team members creating a wall of noise that made clear how invested people were in seeing this team succeed. Team 2's entrance was where things got really interesting. The Vision members entered first. Karrion Kross and Scarlett representing the faction, their presence indicating that despite recent setbacks and exposed manipulations, the Vision still existed as an entity. Drew McIntyre entered next, and the visual contrast was striking. Drew could barely walk, was visibly limping from the punishment absorbed during 3 stages of hell, had bandages covering the cuts from the cage match. Looked like someone who should be in a hospital bed rather than preparing for another match. But his eyes carried that warrior determination that's defined his entire career, the refusal to quit even when quitting is the sensible option. The crowd gave Drew a respectful ovation despite him being positioned as opposition to Cody and Punk, acknowledging his toughness and his willingness to fight even when the odds and his physical condition suggested he should surrender. But the real moment came when the mystery 4th member was about to be revealed. Paul Heyman appeared on the entrance ramp with a microphone, his presence suggesting he had information about Team 2's final member. "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I have the distinct privilege of introducing Team 2's 4th member, a competitor who I've had the honor of representing during some of the most dominant periods in WWE history. A man who answered my call when I explained that this match offered an opportunity to enter the Royal Rumble and position himself for WrestleMania glory. A man who requires no further introduction, but who I'm going to introduce anyway because protocol demands it and because I enjoy the sound of my own voice." The crowd was getting restless, wanting Heyman to get to the point, when suddenly the lights cut to black. When the lights returned, Brock Lesnar stood at the top of the entrance ramp beside Paul Heyman. The crowd's reaction was seismic. Brock Lesnar, the undisputed WWE champion who'd unified the titles on SmackDown weeks earlier, was entering this match despite already having guaranteed positioning for Royal Rumble as the defending champion in the Fatal 4-Way. His presence made zero sense from a logical standpoint. Why would the champion risk entering a match where losing means elimination from Royal Rumble consideration when he's already in the championship match at Royal Rumble anyway? The answer came from Heyman's explanation. "My client Brock Lesnar doesn't need to be in this match. He's already undisputed champion. He's already defending that championship at Royal Rumble. But when I called him and explained that this match offered an opportunity to eliminate CM Punk from Royal Rumble consideration, to destroy Cody Rhodes' dreams, to assert dominance over everyone who's been questioning whether Brock truly deserves his position at the top of WWE, he didn't hesitate. He said, 'Paul, I'm in. Let's destroy everyone.'" The implications were staggering. Brock Lesnar was competing not because he needed the Royal Rumble spot, but purely to prevent others from getting it, to assert dominance, to make a statement about his position at the top of WWE's hierarchy. It was the ultimate alpha predator move, entering a match with nothing to gain personally, but with the ability to devastate others' dreams as a show of power. Team 1's members, standing in the ring watching Brock's entrance, showed visible concern. Their already difficult task of defeating the Vision members and Drew McIntyre had just become exponentially harder with the addition of the most dominant force in WWE. But the entrances weren't finished, and what happened next changed everything. As Brock walked down the ramp toward the ring, as Team 1 prepared to face an even more imposing Team 2 than they'd anticipated, Roman Reigns' music hit. The arena absolutely exploded with noise as the tribal chief appeared on the entrance ramp, walking purposefully toward the ring, his expression mixing determination with something that might have been amusement at the chaos he was about to create. Roman hadn't been announced as part of this match. Roman was scheduled to compete in the Royal Rumble Fatal 4-Way for the Undisputed Championship alongside CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Brock Lesnar. Roman had no apparent reason to be here, no announced stake in this match's outcome. Roman grabbed a microphone as he reached the ringside area, standing between the ring containing Team 1 and the entrance ramp where Brock Lesnar had stopped his approach to observe Roman's arrival. "Let me make something perfectly clear to everyone here and everyone watching at home," Roman began, his voice carrying that absolute confidence that's defined the tribal chief character. "I don't need to be in the Royal Rumble match. I'm already in the Fatal 4-Way for the Undisputed Championship at Royal Rumble. But when I heard about this match, when I learned that the Usos, my cousins, my family, my bloodline, were fighting for Royal Rumble spots against a team that includes Brock Lesnar, I realized something important." He paused, looking directly at the Usos who were watching from the ring with conflicted expressions. "Family doesn't let family fight alone. The bloodline protects its own. So here's what's going to happen." The crowd held its collective breath, waiting for Roman to explain his intentions. Would he join Team 1 to help the Usos, reuniting the bloodline in support of family? Would he join Team 2 to align with Heyman and Brock, creating the most dominant team imaginable? Would he attack everyone and create chaos that served his own interests? The answer was somehow both simpler and more complicated than anyone expected. "I'm not joining either team. I'm not competing in this match. But I am staying out here at ringside to make sure that if anyone tries to screw over the Usos through interference or manipulation, they deal with the tribal chief. Jimmy, you wanted opportunities outside of my shadow, wanted to prove you can succeed on your own merits rather than through bloodline affiliation? Fine. This is your opportunity. Win this match on your own. Earn your Royal Rumble spots through your own abilities. But nobody, and I mean nobody, interferes with my family's opportunity. Anyone who tries deals with Roman Reigns." The declaration created fascinating dynamics. Roman was protecting the Usos, but refusing to directly help them, giving them space to prove themselves while also ensuring they had fair opportunity. His presence neutralized potential interference from Paul Heyman or other outside forces, but it also created psychological pressure on the Usos to succeed without their powerful cousin's direct assistance. And Roman positioning himself at ringside also created the very real possibility that he'd factor into the match's outcome despite claiming he wouldn't compete, because Roman Reigns always has an agenda beyond what he's explicitly stating. Brock Lesnar's reaction to Roman's appearance and declaration was immediate and hostile. The two men locked eyes across the ringside area, years of history and competition and mutual respect mixed with rivalry playing out in that stare. Brock said something to Heyman that microphones didn't catch, and Heyman responded with what appeared to be advice about ignoring Roman and focusing on the match itself. But the tension between Roman and Brock was palpable, two alpha predators in close proximity to each other, both dominant forces who don't like sharing space or acknowledging anyone as their equal. The match finally began after nearly 20 minutes of entrances and drama. And what followed for the next 37 minutes was absolute controlled chaos that somehow managed to feature all 8 legal competitors plus Roman's ringside presence plus potential outside interference from various factions, all while maintaining coherent storytelling and logical psychology. The rules of elimination tag matches meant that one member of each team would be legal at any given time, but those rules quickly became suggestions rather than firm requirements as the match descended into the kind of organized chaos that makes these multi-person matches so compelling when executed well. The early sequences established Team 1's strategy, quick tags, constant fresh competitors, using their numbers advantage to wear down whoever from Team 2 was currently legal. Cody and Punk showed surprising chemistry despite never having worked together before, making quick tags and setting up combination offense that demonstrated they'd at least discussed strategy beforehand. The Usos, with years of tag team experience and near telepathic coordination, worked as a well-oiled machine that created problems for Team 2's less cohesive unit. But Team 2 had Brock Lesnar, and whenever Brock was the legal competitor, the match dynamics shifted completely. Brock's dominance was absolute and terrifying. He ragdolled CM Punk with German suplexes that folded Punk like an accordion. He threw Cody Rhodes around the ring like Cody weighed nothing. He went through both Usos with power offense that made clear the gulf between good wrestlers and once-in-a-generation physical specimens. Around the 14-minute mark, Brock hit an F5 on Jey Uso and covered for what seemed like certain elimination.